All right, we'll start in a minute or two. Okay. Yeah, all right. Welcome back, season 2. Good to be back. I missed doing this during the summer, but the new TV season has begun, so all the comic shows are returning, so the stream is returning. So, be another week or two before all the shows are back. Plus, Supergirl doesn't start for another month, I think. But I think Flash is back next week and Arrow the week after that. Don't quote me on it. I'd have to check. But we got the season premiere of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. this week, and also Heroes Reborn is a thing, which kind of sort of qualifies. It is sort of a superhero show, I guess. Plus, it has had comic books written about it. So, talk about that just briefly. And then we'll get to questions and comments. If you're new to the show, basically what we do here, if you didn't see season 1, this is a weekly stream where I review all the weekly comic shows, or at least the ones I watch. I don't watch all of them. Once again, just not into Walking Dead, because I'm weird like that. But I watch all the shows, and then I come on here, I review the episode, give you guys my thoughts, and then we go to questions and comments about the episode, and then I go to the next one, and then we continue on like that, and then we do the wrap-up where I talk about anything you guys want to talk about at all. So if you have any questions or comments about the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. premiere, or the show in general, or Heroes Reborn, or the Heroes franchise in general, put them down there in the comments section. I will get to everything. And just before I went on here, I had a tweet sent to me saying that there were comments in the Impact stream comment section last night, but they weren't showing up for some reason. I don't know what's going on there. I remember there being a problem with the comments section before. But they would show up on my laptop. So I have the laptop here. If that's a problem tonight, I'll try to figure something else out, or maybe we'll just go back to the stream that has the chat room on the side there. But tonight, since I have Google Plus working again, we're going to do it that way. We're going to do it this way. And if there are no comments, if the comments don't show up, figure something else out for next time. But yeah, put your questions and comments below. Hopefully they'll show up. And let's get this show rolling. Start out with Heroes Reborn. Talk about that just for a little bit. Wow, this is interesting. Heroes is kind of a weird animal. Premiered, I think, was it 10 years ago? Yeah, was it that long? Holy shit, how'd that happen? But anyway, the original show was phenomenally popular. This was a pop culture phenomenon for a while, at least in the first 2 seasons or so. Of course, as most people know by now, the quality kind of dropped off pretty quickly. Of course, I was one of the geniuses who watched all 4 seasons. Don't ask me why. But yeah, it was kind of hard to watch by the end of it. But even at its worst, the show was interesting, even if it was in that interesting in the same way a car wreck on the side of the road is interesting, and that you shouldn't be watching. But even so, you can't stop yourself from slowing the car down and watching as you drive by. Uh, so I figured, what the hell? Maybe they've learned something from their mistakes. Get this series revival coming out. So I figured, yeah, what the hell? I'll check it out. So I watched the premiere last week and the third episode tonight. And I'm kind of at a loss here. And I don't want to spend a whole lot of time talking about this because I don't really have a lot to say. Normally, I start by recapping the episode, but I'm not going to do that here. Mostly because I'm still not entirely sure what happened. It's a lot of disparate plots going on here. I'm not really sure how they tie together yet, but basically, it's several years after the original show ended, and 1 year after this mysterious explosion went off in Odessa, Texas, that killed a whole lot of people, and Evos got blamed for it. That's their catch-all term for powered people now, Evos. And so fast forward 1 year to the present, and Evos are being hunted, persecuted, driven into hiding. It's kind of like they took the basic plots of season 1 and season 3 of the original show and mashed them together. Only this time it's a lot less charming, which also applies to most of the cast, unfortunately. We got mostly new characters here. It's almost an entire new cast, and they seem kind of uninteresting for the most part. Not as unique as the original batch, not as charming as the original batch. There doesn't seem to be any real breakout character yet that I can see, that I look forward to watching. There's no Hiro Nakamura or Sylar or anything like that here, at least not yet. HRG, Noah Bennett is still there, but even with him, it seems like they're going through the motions. Most of the powers just seem like stuff we've seen before. Yeah, teleporting, phasing, stuff like that, super strength, and flight. And whereas before there was a sense of awe and wonder in people discovering these abilities, now it all just seems kind of mundane. Maybe because the original show, because since the original show, all these new superhero shows have popped up, and now we have shows like The Flash and Daredevil, and just the idea of people with amazing powers isn't so special and unique anymore. And it's not like the original show was groundbreaking in that regard either. I mean, really, they were just copying ideas that Stan Lee came up with in the 1960s. But it was something that hadn't really been done before on live-action TV on that scale. Now it has. So if they weren't going to try to make this world more sophisticated, they really didn't have much to work with here. Maybe if they had a more interesting story, but I found that I don't really care a lot about what's going on here. Some of it is rather dull. Other parts are just downright confusing. I mean, this whole storyline in Japan, what the hell is going on with that? I mean, there's this girl who has a sword, and when she unsheaths the sword, she's transported into a video game, and she's trying to save her father, who is being held captive in the video game or something like that. I don't know. It feels like there was a lot of story missing here. I mean, I spent most of these scenes during the premiere just wondering what the fuck was going on. I mean, there are a few redeeming qualities with this. I appreciate that they're trying to take a more real-world approach to the story. People with powers being feared and hunted, forced to register with the government, stuff like that, captured to be used as weapons and things. That's probably not far off from what would happen if this were real. But again, X-Men did that first and did it better. And while the original show was far from perfect, it did have a certain charm about it and enough enjoyable characters that made you not care about that so much. It made it easier to ignore a lot of the flaws in the show. That's not really the case anymore. Yeah, what we've got here, in my opinion, is a lower budget retread of the original show where it doesn't seem like their hearts are really in it that much, and it kind of feels like a cash grab by the producers, if I'm being honest. Taking whatever brand recognition was left in the original and milking it just a little bit more without putting in enough effort to make it anything remarkable. From what I've seen so far, I'd say at best, Heroes Reborn is okay. It's not awful, though there are a lot of warning signs here that they didn't learn from the mistakes of the original show, and it's not going to be appointment viewing or anything. If you ask me, this show is pretty skippable. And I don't think I'll be reviewing any more of this show, certainly not when Arrow and Flash come back. And that's my thoughts on Heroes Reborn. Now is the comment section working at all? Does not appear to be. Okay. All right, let me check something. Last time, I'm not sure why this was, but the comments would show up on my laptop and not the desktop. I don't know why that is. So I'm going to check with the laptop. Bear with me one second here. Excuse me. Yep. And yeah, there they are. Okay. All right, I guess we'll stick to doing this with two computers then. I don't know why it's doing this. All right. Okay, questions on Heroes Reborn. That gaming asshole. It appears that Claire is not dead, or more specifically, she's being teased as being dead, but it seems unlikely due to the way they're setting up the story. I agree that the new mutants seem unappealing. There seems to be little in the way of new powers or anything, but I'm kind of curious as to what Zachary Levi's power actually is. The fat guy with telepathic powers is kind of weird, but new though. But I mistook him for El Bishop's father at first. I like the Katana girl, but mainly because I have a fetish for Asian women. She apparently is a technopath like the kid from the first season, has teleporting powers too, so I'm calling it she's Hero's kid. We're gonna take these one at a time. I don't know what's going on with the Claire thing. Apparently there's more to that story than we know just yet. I'm not sure why Noah Bennett thinks she would be dead, since she was basically immortal by the time that the original show ended. And they'd already established that her blood can bring dead people back to life, so it's like, well, how could she die? I know it's a mystery of how she could be killed in the first place, but I would think a guy like him would have suspicions. But since she's on Nashville now, it's not like they could just bring the actress back. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Curious as to what Zachary Levi's power actually is. It seemed like he was a little like Sunspot from X-Men comics. It seemed like he was generating energy or like storing energy from the sun or something like that. It looked like that's what was going on there. Don't quote me on it though. Yeah, the guy with the telepathic guy with the pennies. What are the pennies for? I don't get that. Katana girl, yeah, she's cute, but that whole story is very confusing. Technopath, no, Technopath is the ability to control machines and technology. I'm not sure how that would give you the ability to transport yourself into a video game. That felt like they were trying to get too creative. She Hero's kid, yeah, possibly. I know a lot of people have made that theory, but She looks like she's around, like, I don't know, late teens, early 20s, like 20-ish, something like that. So I guess the only way she could be Hero's kid is if she were born in the future, and then he took her to the past. But why the hell would he do that? I don't know. It seems like if she were Hero's kid, it seems like that would raise a whole bunch of questions that are not really necessary. But she does have his sword for some reason, so we'll see. The Save Me one. 3 episodes in and no explanation on how one does kill an indestructible cheerleader. I guess they figure no explanation is the best explanation. Well, according to the producers, they are telling an open and shut story here. So this season is going to be one complete story. So I assume there's going to be an answer coming about that. I would be really annoyed if they kept that a mystery. I don't know if we'll get one right away, though. I suspect the answer to that is locked away in HRG's erased memory. So if he can get that back, then I think we'll have an answer to that. I like Miko, but that whole story is confusing. And Molly Walker grew up hot, but I don't know what's up with that age gap. Oh, dude, I know. It's like that girl looks way older than Molly is supposed to be. Okay, they had to change the actress, so be it. But you couldn't get one that looks age appropriate. I think the girl who played Molly is like 18 now or something. Yeah, and Molly in the original show, she's like 18. This girl is like early 20s or something, but still, that's a noticeable gap. And Molly Walker should not look this old, or this mature rather. And not helping the fact is that this actress is a far cry from the original. The original kid was so much better. This new girl, she's like, I don't know why they cast her. She doesn't look like Molly, doesn't act like Molly. Doesn't seem to be nearly as good an actress as the original girl was, and for some reason Molly's personality is completely different. I don't know what that's about. Really not liking that part, honestly. Plus, how stupid was Molly running off and getting caught in just 5 seconds instead of going with Noah where she would have been safe? Yeah, I guess she has reason to mistrust Noah, which is one of those memories that he can't remember. She has reason to distrust him, I guess, but I mean, what were her options here? He at least seemed to want to take her away from that place. And, fat lot of good running away from him did her. So yeah, overall, Heroes Reborn, it's not a total catastrophe, but it's nothing special. If you put a gun to my head, I would say don't expect a season 2 of Heroes Reborn. Just my opinion. So yeah, those are my initial thoughts. I don't think I'll be reviewing this show every week. My feeling right now, I'm going to stick with the big 3, Shield, Flash, Arrow, possibly Supergirl. I don't know about that one. But, you guys are free to ask me questions about it whenever. Even if I'm not reviewing it, I'll still answer questions about it. I think we'll just proceed that way. Unless I see something on the show that I have a burning desire to talk about. Anywho, moving on. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 3, Episode 1, Laws of Nature. Excuse me. So, several months after the battle with Jiaying and her band of Inhumans, new Inhumans are starting to pop up, thanks to the Terrigen crystals being released into the ecosystem when Sky knocked that Quinjet off the aircraft carrier, and all that stuff got leaked into the ocean. So we got new Inhumans popping up, and Shield is in a race with this other organization to see who can find these people first and acquire them or keep them safe or whatever they want to do with them, or at least get to them before another Inhuman who looks like he was birthed in Sonic the Hedgehog's worst nightmares can find them and kill them pretty gruesomely. Also, Fitz is turning into a ticking time bomb as his search for Simmons hits a dead end. And Simmons, as it turns out, is on another planet. So that's a problem. Wow. A lot of stuff happened here. First of all, definitely my favorite of the 3-season premieres so far that they've had. There's been a big and clear progression from season 1 to season 2 to season 3, as the producers have zeroed in on what this show needs to be, what they can get away with, what stories work best. In early season 1, and I've been saying this, I've been over this many times now, early season 1, there were some stumbling blocks. You know, a lot of handcuffs they had to put up with. You know, couldn't do this, couldn't do that, couldn't use this character or that character because of a movie tie-in that has to happen first, or a character that needs to show up in a movie first, or whatever. That's done now. We're past all that, and now we're at a place where there's a lot more creative synergy between the show and the movies, obviously, and Marvel is actively using the show at this point to set up future events in the cinematic universe and vice versa. There were several, really fun references to events that happened in the movies in this episode that are now influencing what's going on here on the show. References to Sokovia, the Sokovia disaster in Age of Ultron. We even got a reference to the events of in the Ant-Man movie, like the attack of the big blow up at the PIM labs. So that was referenced too. And so these things affect things that happen on the show now, which in turn uses these things to set up stuff like the Inhumans movie, which means they can do some really cool shit now. So you wanted more people with powers? Well, you're going to get them. If this episode was any indication, they blast out of the gate immediately with that. The opening sequence is all about this new Inhuman dude freaking out. He's newly birthed from his chrysalis, doesn't know what the hell's happening to him. And for the record, this character is both gay and a person of color. So Tumblr should have no reason to bitch about this guy. No reason. Okay, those are their two big criteria. All right, so I don't want to see any bitching about this guy on Tumblr. All right, just putting that out there, because Tumblr does dearly love to bitch. So Joey, that's his name, Joey, is scared shitless, can't control his powers. This other agency shows up to contain him or put him down, whatever's necessary. But they get into a bit of a kerfuffle when S.H.I.E.L.D. shows up and extract him, and then they get the fuck out of there. First thing that jumps out about this sequence, and the whole episode really, is that the visual effects have leveled up again. The way Joey's power melts all the metal around him, the extraction pod that flies down from out of nowhere and shoots him up into the sky and onto the new plane. There's some fucking beautiful work being done here. Don't be surprised if they score another Emmy nomination for their visual effects, because that's going to be well-deserved. We get a really cool introduction to Sky, now Daisy Johnson, blasting those guys back in their car, too. And, aside from the hair being a little long, which I actually prefer to the comics version, she's right out of the comics now. You got the Quake gauntlets and everything. She's become Quake at this point. She's more or less fully realized now, and it's pretty fucking cool to see. It's a really harrowing opening few minutes here. There's a lot of action, some great stories set up with this rival agency being run by this mysterious lady played by Constance Zimmer, who can stay as long as she likes. Boy, she's a lot of fun. I thought she was going to be like the General Talbot of season 3, but she's so much better than that. I mean, Talbot's okay in terms of a short-term speed bump type of character that Shield has to get around from time to time. But you always get the sense that at the end of the day, Coulson's got this guy's number and can outmaneuver him if he has to. Not so with this lady. Yeah, she's no dummy. She's got a lot on the ball. You know, she's one of the first characters they've run into actually, where you get the sense that she's every bit as wily as Coulson. You know, she knows all about his backstory, even outthinking him in certain situations. You know, my jaw fell open for a minute when she mentioned Tahiti. So she knows her stuff, and appears very well connected at the highest levels. I love the scene with them on the train, where Coulson thinks he's got her number, but she was onto them, and she was onto them the whole time, and was just luring them into a trap. And then she's just matching wits with Coulson like it's the easiest thing in the world. She's great. A lot of chemistry with her and Coulson too. There's some definite sparks there. That may not be what the Felinda people want to hear, but I think something might happen here. It's just a hunch. So that's going to be a fun dynamic to play with. My one and only complaint about her, and it's more of a to be continued really, is that she's not who I was hoping she'd be, at least not yet. We're calling her Rosalind Price right now. Don't know if that's her real name. I suspect it's not. But they're really quick to set up that she's a big mystery and she's had a ton of different aliases and worked for like every agency on Earth and stuff like that. So there's definitely still a chance. I think there's a good chance that she might turn out to be Abigail Brand. And I so hope she is, because it would make such perfect sense to use that character in this role. Head of a government task force hunting down potential alien threats. If she's not Abigail Brand, I'll be upset. Because aside from them just not having the rights to the character, which might be the case, I don't know, there's no reason not to use Abigail. And Constance Zimmer could totally be her, so fingers crossed on that. Everything else with this character, aces. Like her a lot. Also really like the twist with her. You think she's a villain, and the one responsible for mutilating all these new Inhumans. By the way, they're not fucking around this time. In season 2, it was a good couple episodes before we saw someone get dissected. This year, bodies everywhere, and it's only the first episode. But anyway, you think she's the one doing it. You get one impression, and then it turns out that's not the case. Then the big reveal, Lash. Fucking Lash. This giant animalistic motherfucker looking like he walked right off the damn comic page. I've seen a few people complain about his hair looking a little weird. Have you seen Lash from the Inhumans comics? His hair is weird there too, okay? That's how it looks. This is about as faithful an adaptation as you could get without making the whole thing CG, which would be dumb anyway. I was so fucking happy with this, really. I mean, it looks like they got his powers right. The makeup looks great. He's fucking huge and scary, just like he should be. This is probably the most nightmarish character from the comics they've introduced so far, and he came off about as well as I think you could do on a TV budget. So really good job with that. I think the lighting helped a lot in that scene. Everything's really dark and atmospheric. At the hospital where he attacked, it was perfect. Suspenseful, moody, almost like a horror movie, kind of. And they gave us just a taste of him. He was only there for a minute, but I'm so ready for more now. Daisy and Lincoln used their powers on him, and I guess they haven't been reading their comics because shooting Lash with energy weapons, not a good idea. Not a good idea. So they do some quick thinking, and they survive round 1 with Lash, but he ain't going away. And Lincoln's in the wind right now, so they've got a ton of shit on their plate there. The whole Inhumans plot has really made this world a lot bigger. And stuff like this is just the beginning. We do get our requisite exposition dump with Joey getting filled in on what's happening to him, so they can also fill in any new viewers about what's going on. I like how they used Joey coming out as gay as like a superpower analog. They can't use mutants, which was usually what that metaphor was used for. because Fox has the rights to the X-Men canon, but it works with Inhumans too. It still applies, and it's a very apt metaphor, and I think done a little bit more gracefully here than in any of the X-Men movies have done it, quite frankly. So, like Joey, good performance from the actor, good character. Hope we see more of him. Good stuff. Moving on to the characters. Something really interesting here is how the team dynamics have all shifted now since season 2 and since the events of season 2, giving them some new situations to play around with. Daisy and Mac have partnered up, working together on this TAC team, kind of heading up this Inhumans mission. And that was set up in the season 2 finale when they were working together to stop the Inhumans on the aircraft carrier. Hunter working more closely with Coulson because Hunter's an agent now and Coulson trusts him now. And yeah, that was set up again last season when he was the first one to meet up with Coulson and side with him after the real S.H.I.E.L.D. hostile takeover. And plus, those two have a really great banter going, so I'm enjoying that. My favorite, though, was Bobby and Fitz working together. Bobby can't be back in the field right now since she's still rehabbing her injuries from being tortured by Ward in the season 2 finale. So they put her in the lab, which makes sense. And not just because we get to see Adrian Palicki in a lab coat. # sexual fantasy unlocked. But because Bobby in the comics is a scientist. And they touched on that in one scene last season where she was working in there while Simmons was busy. But she's kind of filling in for Simmons now. And her and Fitz have kind of bonded since last season, which is cute. And that's something I was actually hoping to see. It seemed to me like season 3 for Bobby is going to be like what season 2 was for Fitz. Now, a situation where you take their best asset, their defining quality as an agent, and you take it away from them, and then see how they cope with it. With Fitz, it was his intellect, so they gave him brain damage. Sees how he copes with that. With Bobby, it's her fighting skills, so they give her a busted knee. Now she can't do that, so she's gotta cope with it. And it seemed to me like they would have a lot in common because of this. So I got a kick out of her covering for him with Coulson, though, and I'm looking forward to their interactions too. They were two characters that didn't really do anything together last season. So, looking forward to that. And that leads us to some of the best stuff in this episode, the Fitz storyline. It's hard to believe that this is the same skittish techie who didn't want to leave the lab in season 1 and was all germophobic and stuff like that. Boy, is this guy leveled up. Throwing caution to the wind, walking right into the lion's den. Still scared of things, obviously. You can tell in his performance how he's kind of pushing through the fear there. But, there's a definite sense with Fitz right now of, I just don't give a fuck anymore. This scene with him and the arms dealers was beautiful. He's mouthing off to these guys, spitting out blood, not backing down. Fitz is a badass all of a sudden. Simmons disappearing really drove this guy right to the edge, and it's awesome. Because there's nothing more dangerous than a man with nothing to lose. He's trying to trade weapons for... trying to trade the Hydra weapons for an artifact that might tell him about the Kree monolith that ate Simmons. And once they get the splinter bombs, they're just going to kill him anyway. But then he fakes them out. And it's kind of like that scene in Breaking Bad where Walt goes to that scary-ass drug distributor guy, and you think he's totally fucked himself. But then he's like, this is not meth. And he throws it at the ground and blows the whole room apart. It's like that. Fitz pulled a Walter White on these guys. He poons them with a giant flashbang and escapes with the artifact, stealing a car in the process. And it's great. If you like Fitz, this shit was cool as hell. And for me, since he's my favorite character, I jumped out of my seat and cheered at this point. This was fucking awesome. But as cool as that was, somehow they managed to top it with Fitz in the last scene of the episode. Oh man, this scene. This was one of those big heart-wrenching moments that this show seems to be going to this guy in particular more and more to deliver because he always knocks it out of the park. He opens the scroll that he just nearly got himself killed for. His last lead, hoping for any kind of clue about the monolith, and it's just one word, death, written in Hebrew. Oh, God. So finally, after Bobby and Mac were kind of skirting around this, saying, oh, I'm not going to talk to him. I'm not going to tell him to move on. You do it. No, I'm not going to do it. Shut up. Let's just let him do what he wants. No, finally, Coulson gets face-to-face with him, tells him that he has to accept that Simmons is really gone. And this look of absolute despair comes over him. And of course, instead of accepting it, Fitz goes to the monolith, blasts it out of the case with a shotgun, because Fitz can use guns now. He's good with guns now because he's a badass now. And Ian DeCasticker was the show's acting MVP last season, and he proved why again right here. I swear, it's ridiculous how good this guy is. Yeah, this is the most emotionally naked we've ever seen Fitz. Nothing but raw emotion right here. He's just beating the monolith with his bare hands, screaming at it to do something, anything, because this is pure fucking desperation from him. He has no more leads, no more options. Everyone's given up. They're all telling him it's hopeless. So his only recourse is just to go to the monolith and roll the dice, which for a character like him, even just last season, would have been unthinkable. But that's where he's at now. In this moment, he figures, well, one of two things is going to happen. Either it absorbs him and takes him to wherever he thinks it could have taken Simmons, or it kills him. And he doesn't even give a shit which one. He's like, do whatever. Send me where you sent her, or kill me. I don't fucking care anymore. Just do something. And it's the most heartbreaking, and the most heartbreaking moment of all is that it does nothing. And it destroys him. And right there, you realize that to get Simmons back, Fitz might just end up doing something really insane. Because he's headed in that direction. It's really one of the most heart-wrenching moments of the series, actually. And what blows my mind is that it's always Fitzsimmons who deliver these types of moments. Every fucking time, it's them. And these two were the comic relief in season 1. I mean, how crazy is that? So, but yeah, I mean, everything with Fitz, fucking gold. Just really emotionally powerful ending. I can't say enough about that. Although, I will say this. When Simmons gets back to Earth, she and Fitz better goddamn well be able to finally go on their date. Because these sadistic-ass writers are really making them work for this. And yeah, I know that's the whole point. But still. Then in the stinger, we see Simmons alive, running for her life on another planet. The monolith sent her to an alien fucking planet. So in one last little bit of irony, Fitz's latest theory about the monolith, that it's essentially a black hole that transported Simmons somewhere else, was right. He just doesn't know it. Just doesn't know how right he was. And something that was kind of funny here. The green screen or CG or lens filters or whatever they used to make this alien terrain here actually looked better than the green screen the filmmakers used in the third act of the new Fantastic Four movie. It looked better than that movie. Now, granted, the new Fantastic Four set the bar for that stuff not so high, but still, great work by Mark Kolpak there. So anyway, that was the season 3 premiere of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And it was really fucking good. Like I said, definitely the best season premiere they've had so far, in my opinion. The world this is taking place in has opened up a lot. This Inhumans plot gives them so many really cool things they can do. And it looks like they're really taking the gloves off here. The pacing was tight. Constance Zimmer is great. Loved how Lash turned out. The stuff with Fitz was heartbreaking, and Simmons is on Simmons is on another planet. The Kree homeworld would be my guess. And if we're to believe the producers, they've got some really big stuff planned for that. Everything I've heard from the actors on social media and whatnot says that there's really big stuff happening, and like, oh, my jaw dropped every time I open the new script and stuff. So it looks like there's big stuff coming up with that. So all told, a really exciting and dark start to the season. Not unrelentingly dark, though. There was some pretty great comedy, subtle comedy here too. Like the axe that Mac used to cut Coulson's hand off in the season 2 finale. Coulson's got that thing hanging on the wall in his office. Because Coulson's into collectibles, he would totally do that. He would totally keep that thing around, just as a keepsake. He even kept the severed hand. The hand that got turned to stone by the Terrigen crystal. They've got that mounted in a plastic container in the lab. And that hilarious moment when Coulson wants Hunter to take some stuff to Bobby for analysis. Hunter doesn't want to see Bobby right now. So Coulson's like, okay, wouldn't want to do anything to make you feel uncomfortable. And then he just takes off his artificial hand and tosses it on the desk. Who knew they were going to milk so many funny bits out of Coulson getting his hand chopped off? That was surprising. Although, I really wish he would keep that artificial hand on, because him walking around without it, kind of creepy. Just a little bit creepy. Damn. All right. Let's see what we got here. Comments. First. Okay. All right, got some other Heroes Reborn stuff. I will get to those in just a minute. All right. LB Clash of Kings joining us from the Impact stream. I haven't really seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. yet. I don't know which characters are on the show. Well, if you're coming in from the movies, it's Coulson, who's kind of our gateway character. If you're looking for comics characters on the show, we got Daisy Johnson in there. We got Lash from the Inhumans comics. We've had Blizzard on the show, or the character that will become Blizzard. We've had the Absorbing Man on there. Sif from the Thor movies has been in there. There's been a bunch of characters in there. Lorelei of Asgard. Characters like that. Just to name a few. And the Save Me One. Do you think there's a reason why Rosalind looks and acts like she could be Hope Van Dyne's twin, or is that just a coincidence? I think it's a coincidence. I agree that the haircut is remarkably similar. Maybe they did that as a nod to the Ant-Man movie. Possibly. Otherwise, yeah, I think it's a coincidence. Zach Harris. Lash gives Freddy Krueger nightmares. Yeah, quite an entrance for him, wasn't it? Just kind of like blows a hole in that guy's chest. He walks in and it's kind of like Blanca from Street Fighter a little bit. I forget the name of the actor, but I think he's like a former NFL player, and apparently this dude is like legitimately like 6'8". Like, he's a huge fucking dude. He's taller than Henry Simmons, who is like 6'5". So yeah, huge guy. The makeup looked great too. Great too. I thought that was they really couldn't have asked for a much better introduction to that character. I thought it came off great. The Save Me one. I think Sky slash Daisy has had one of the best developments I've seen in a long time. Remember, she could not bring herself to shoot Quinn in season 1, and she was the girl we were always afraid for. Yeah, she's come a long way. I will. I think early on there was some criticism about why they were focusing on her so much without really explaining to us why she was important. And I do understand that. I kind of felt that at times myself in season 1. It's like, okay, well, we got a team of SHIELD agents, and then we've got this person here who just is sort of tagging along, and she's really good at what she does, but I fail to see why. It's like they're treating her like she's important without telling us why she's important. And well, now we know. I mean, now we know why she's so good and why there was so much focus on her, because she's this character from the comics who is like insanely good at stuff. If I remember correctly, I think in the comics, Daisy Johnson was like was like some kind of child prodigy who was running SHIELD at the age of 18 or something like that. So now it makes sense, Then in season 2, she took out Blizzard and shot Ward in the back 6 times without thinking twice. Well, not in the back. Those are definitely shots with intent to kill, though. Now she has her powers and is in full Quake mode and is a badass. Marvel's done a fantastic job here. Yeah, yeah. I think this is my favorite incarnation of her that we've seen so far. Had a couple issues with her in season 1. Season 2, she was better. Now she's fully realized, and I like her. Yeah, they done good with her. Zach Harris, love the progression of Fitz's character. The Fitz of season 1 would never have even considered such a stunt. Season 2 Fitz, well, maybe a little later on towards the end of the season, Fitz has really come a long way. Yeah, I love the development of him. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the badass bookworm trope, where you take, the kind of a meek nerd geek that you would think would not be a danger to anyone, and you develop them into someone who's like a terrifying motherfucker, who you'd have to be insane to fuck with. And I think Wesley and Buffy and Angel was a good example of that. I mean, he was the biggest pussy in the world when he first got introduced. By the end of Angel's run, the dude was a fucking badass. And it seems like they're taking a similar approach with Fitz here. I mean, he was, this was a guy who they had scream like a girl when like a mop fell out of the closet, and in a prank that he actually set up himself. And now he's mouthing off to arms dealers and taking hits that would have knocked him out before, spitting out blood like you don't give a fuck. I really like what they're doing with him. And that rage outburst at the end is like, wow. This would have been unthinkable for Fitz in season 1. It's like that character has really developed a lot. The Save Me one. I like the Easter eggs when it came to the Age of Ultron and Ant-Man, although not sure why Fitz would have thought Simmons shrunk down microscopic. He must have just been grasping at straws there. Yeah. I think that's exactly what it is. I think well, they say that one of the stages of grief is denial. And I think Fitz has been stuck in there. He just absolutely refuses to accept that she's dead. When all the evidence points to that, he's just running through every possibility in the book except the one that all the evidence points to. Because, like Max said, it's his way of... It's keeping him from coping. He doesn't want to cope because he doesn't want to let her go. And ironically, it's a good thing that he's not coping, because he's the only one who thinks she's still alive at this point, and she is. So yeah, he's grasping at straws, but luckily for Simmons, he is grasping at straws because everyone else has given up on her. They all think she's dead, and they've moved on. He's the only one who won't let her go. That's love, baby. That's love. Clash of Kings. No, wait, no. Hold on. Get to those other questions last. That gaming asshole. I thought for a moment that Pod was headed to Sword HQ. Unfortunately, not. Deep sigh. Hey, we might still get Sword. We still don't have a concrete ID on Rosalind Price. We don't know if that's her real name. I suspect it's not a real name. She could very well turn out to be Abigail Brand. I think that's a strong possibility, actually. And hell, as far as we know, ATCU could be a prelude to Sword, like a precursor or something. We don't know. That gaming asshole. I've never heard of Lash until now, which surprises me. Well, he's a fairly new character. He showed up in the Inhumans comic series that started, I think, in 2014. But yeah, he's a pretty big villain in that series, and he's actually a character that I didn't think we'd get in the show, or not that type of character, because I figured, well, how the hell? He's one of those guys where you look at him and it's like, well, how could they do that on TV? No, they did a really good job with it. That's, like I said, that's about as faithful as you can get to adapting him from the comics on a TV budget. See, that one chick I figured was Madam Hydra, but no, I have no idea who she is or if she is someone at all, maybe a new character or not, but apparently not evil, so that's good, I guess. Madam Hydra, no, I don't know if we'll be getting Madam Hydra. It depends how long they want to drag that plot out, but I mean, we're in, Hydra's been a threat for 2 seasons now. We're in season 3. All the Hydra heads were taken out last year. Ward's kind of taking command of what's left. I suppose maybe Hydra could reorganize behind someone else. It's possible, but I think I don't know if we'll be seeing Madam Hydra, which is kind of a shame. I always, back before they cast Lucy Lawless as as Agent Harley, I always kind of imagined her playing Madam Hydra, to be honest. Kind of sucks that it looks like that we won't see her, but that's the way it goes. Yeah, but I do think it's likely that Rosalind Price will be someone from the comics. Yeah. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Abigail Brand. The Save Me one. Seeing how the stone opened up for Simmons but not Fitz, can we assume that Simmons has some Inhuman DNA? Possibly. I mean, we got 2 Inhumans on the show already. One of them is the main character. I want to say no, just because it would be really convenient, I think, a little too convenient. Plus, I mean, the original mission statement of the show was a team of non-superpowered people in a world full of people with powers. It's like ordinary people dealing with extraordinary threats and stuff like that. So I think 2 people on the team with powers is good. Plus, you also got Deathlock, who I assume will be showing up periodically. I think that's a good number. To make Simmons an Inhuman, I think that's going a little too far. Not to say they won't do it. But there could be any number of reasons why it absorbs Simmons, but it won't do anything for Fitz. We don't really have all the information yet. There could be other factors involved. We don't know. But does Simmons have Inhuman DNA? I guess we can't rule it out. If it were up to me, I would not want to make her an Inhuman, but It's a possibility. The Save Me one. People say Lash looked bad, but he still looked better than those photos of Apocalypse and Red Tornado. I don't understand the criticism of the way Lash looks. I thought he looked really good. The one criticism I could sort of understand was the hair. But again, look at Lash's hair from the comics. He has weird fucking hair. It looked like a really faithful adaptation to me. I don't agree with the criticisms. You know, with Apocalypse, I get it, because I've seen, you know, pictures of cosplay costumes that look more faithful to the comics. Of course, we don't know if that's the way Apocalypse is really going to look, because all we saw is like a leaked version of the Comic-Con trailer. There may be, you know, extra stuff they're going to do to it. They may do color correction on the costume. They may add CG to it. We don't, like, CG elements to the costume to juice it up a little bit. We don't know, and that may not be the final version of Apocalypse's costume. It may just be like a proto version of it or something. We just don't know. Until I see a final version of Apocalypse's costume, I'm not really going to criticize it. Although, if people want to, based on what we've seen so far, I get it. Yeah, the photos of Red Tornado I thought looked okay. Again, TV budget. You know, it's not going to look, you know, movie quality, because they got to keep it, you know, because they got to keep the finances tight and everything. Bring the episode in under budget if possible, but yeah, I thought Red Tornado looked all right for TV. Costaladius, is Abigail Brandon inhuman in the comics? And could the Advanced Threat Containment Unit be Sword? I think it's possible. I'm optimistic that it could be a precursor to Sword. In the comics, Abigail Brand is not an Inhuman. She is a half human, half alien. Which is where the green hair and the blue glowy hands come from. But she has alien DNA. Not Kree, I don't think, but no, as I admit, I haven't seen every comic she's appeared in, but she's not an Inhuman as far as I know. No, she's just half alien. Some kind of alien. Zach Harris, give Ian DeCastiger all the Emmys. Hell yeah, man. It really sucks that genre TV is so rarely recognized by award shows, because his acting is it's on that level where if he was on like a traditional drama series, he'd be getting nominated for stuff. He's that good. He would be winning stuff. The fact that he hasn't won something already is ridiculous. I mean, he's over and over again. He gives the standout performance on the show, and it's just I think it's fucking ridiculous that he doesn't get nominated for something, and he fucking should. Jessica Jones. I'll get to all these afterward. That gaming asshole. It's possible that Joey is Melter, which is an Iron Man villain so obscure I forgot about him. That never happened before in Innuendo. Possibly. Is Melter an Inhuman? Who knows? I thought he was a new character, but you know, I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of comic lore, so he could be someone we've seen before. Who knows? I mean, Lash just went right past me. I don't follow Inhumans comics, but I've read Iron Man. I should know him. I feel lost. Yeah, I don't collect the Inhumans comics religiously. I've read the trades at the bookstore. Yeah, I know enough about Lash to know that to think that this was a pretty faithful adaptation. I think for TV, this is about as good as it was going to get. I mean, they could do something that looks more like the body type that he has, because that body type doesn't really exist in the real world. But to do that, they'd have to make him all CG, and you can't really do that on a TV budget. Yeah, for what they're going to have Lash doing, you want to do that practically. You know, they find a freaking giant of an actor, give him some good makeup, and I thought that was good looking makeup. I thought he looked menacing. He looked like Lash would look, and I thought he came off well. I don't agree with the criticisms. The melodrama with Fitz and Simmons. The novelty of this ship is growing thin. Really? Wow, I completely disagree. I've never really been into them, so if this season is focusing on it, yikes. I think it's the focus is going to be primarily on them individually for a while. Uh, the producers have dropped enough hints that Simmons being on this alien world is not going to be wrapped up immediately. That's going to be an ongoing plot for a little bit. I would suspect at least 5 episodes, maybe more. Before she's back with the team. But yeah, the drama with them, I know. I respectfully disagree with you, dude. I can't get enough of that shit. Simmons trapped in another universe or the Kree homeworld or whatever is at least interesting as an addition to the story. But frankly, part of me was hoping this would get dropped last season when at least it got some form of closure. Well, all right. Well, agree to disagree on that one. A funny thing about the Kree homeworld or another universe or whatever it is, I saw a theory on Tumblr that was showing shots of this alien world that she's on right now and comparing it to shots of that alien world or other dimension that they glimpsed in the season 1 episode where they had that dimension hopping guy on the plane. I think it was like episode 9 or something like that. That was kind of giving us hints about May's backstory for the first time, and we saw how this guy was kind of trapped between 2 universes, and we saw little kind of rough images of this other world that he was trying to stay out of. The landscape looked really similar, and that got me thinking, like, oh my god, could they have set this up all the way back then? Wouldn't it be crazy if that was the place that she's in now? Holy crap. It's just a theory. But wouldn't that be nuts if they'd set that up way back then? Wow. Okay. Fantastic Four. Oh boy. Okay, let's see. All right. The Save Me one. The president from Iron Man 3 was an awesome cameo. I noticed that too. Yeah. I love it when they add in characters like that. Yeah, that was really cool. Zach Harris, Coulson does the whole artificial hand thing better than Luke Skywalker. Well, Luke seemed to get used to his hand a lot quicker than Coulson did. Apparently, Coulson has a few options, and he's had at least 3 hands. I want to see him trick those things out, go like Inspector Gadget with those things. Have lots of tools and shit in each one. Maybe have a gun built into one of them and something. I want to see him get weapons on those things. Wouldn't that be awesome? Let's see. Costaletius, fuck Mary Kill, Saffron Burrows, Victoria Hand, Dishan Lockman's Jiaying, Constance Zimmer's Rosalind Price. Okay. Well, I believe Victoria Hand was gay in the comics. We don't know her sexuality what her sexuality in the show was. If we're assuming she was straight, But you're still not giving me much to go on here because Jia Ying was kind of a genocidal madwoman at the end of season 2. So I wouldn't really want to. Would probably want to stay away from her because she'd probably want to kill me for being human. So I guess I would kill Jia Ying. Hmm. I guess I'd fuck Victoria Hand and marry Rosalind Price. Because, well, I mean, if Victoria Hand is gay, she's probably not going to be into it that much. So that's probably not a woman that you're going to want to spend your whole life with, one that's just not into you. With Rosalind Price, hey, she's well connected. She's probably got money, so she could buy you stuff. Coastal Ladius, Sloan from Section 31 is President of the United States. This can't end well. Was that a Deep Space Nine reference? Section 31? I think. Magpie's Nest Productions. Do you think we'll be getting some Spider-Man references soon? You know what? I wouldn't be surprised. Apparently he's going to be in Civil War. And they have reportedly they have filmed Spider-Man stuff for Civil War. I don't think there'll be any major references. I think there might be some subtle allusions to it. Hey, like hey, that guy who's been swinging around New York City lately, maybe he's an Inhuman. Maybe something like that. Possibly. Let's see. Although Marvel is kind of stingy when it comes to characters who need to show up in the movies first, I think so. If we don't get a Spider-Man reference before Civil War, I imagine we'll get some afterward. Magpie's Nest Productions. Do you think we'll get Sword soon? If not, well, possibly. If the theory pans out, I think the ATCU is a precursor to Sword. Of course, this is relying on Rosalind Price's real identity being Abigail Brand, which, if that happens, I think we will get Sword at some point. But I think it all depends on who owns the rights to Abigail Brand, because she could conceivably fall under the X-Men canon because she showed up in X-Men comics first. If that's the case, then Fox would own the rights to Abigail, and Rosalind Price would be like a stand-in for Abigail. If Marvel owns the rights, I think there's a good chance that she could turn out to be Abigail Brand, but we don't know yet. Magpie's Nest Productions saw Simmons down here recently, and Fitz and Simmons are not getting together anytime soon. Saw Simmons down here recently. You mean Elizabeth Henstridge? Where do you live exactly? Because I know she does cons. Fitz and Simmons are not getting together anytime soon. It does appear that the writers are making an effort to keep them away from each other, and kind of delay their reunion, delay them getting together as long as possible, because they're essentially the big will they won't they couple on the show now, and they've already acknowledged that the feelings between them are mutual. So you got to figure once they're reunited, they're just going to get together and that'll be it. So it looks like they're making efforts to kind of delay that as long as possible. But I mean, I think by the end of season 3 at the latest, you got to there's got to be a payoff for that, because I mean you can't delay that shit forever. The audience will eventually get impatient, and you have to reward them. I mean, personally, I can't see how they could delay it any longer than that. The end of season 3, I think, is a good time to have some payoff. That gaming asshole. Oh, the Terrigen stuff is now worldwide, so shit just got profoundly real. Because that stuff just kills normal humans, so it could kill billions of people. No, actually, they explained that. It wasn't the Terrigen itself that killed humans, but the metal ore from the diviners. Because they were using crystals that they created themselves, that they grew themselves, but they couldn't do it as perfectly as the Kree did, and part of one of the imperfections in the process is that the metal from the diviners got fused into the crystal, and that metal from the diviners is what turned people to stone. That's what killed people. And it turns out the crystals themselves were water soluble. I think that's the term. So the Terrigen is what leaked into the atmosphere, and I assume the metal from the diviners is still just at the bottom of the ocean. Yeah, they actually explained that. That was explained in the scene with Bobby and Coulson in the lab. So humans are safe. They can eat the fish oil pills and nothing would happen. So it's harmless to humans, and inhumans are the ones who get affected. Coastal Idius, I know you don't plan to review Gotham Season 2, but I think you should give it a chance also. Your thoughts on Cameron Monaghan on that show. You know, I'll confess, I kind of breezed through the first 2 episodes on Hulu just out of morbid curiosity. Wasn't really watching the whole thing. I was just kind of skipping around, watching little bits here and there. I didn't see anything offensively stupid this time so far, but again, season 1 pushed me too far over the brink. Season 1 did, rather. I just don't want to revisit that. It seems like it's worked out some of the kinks from what I can see, but I really have no desire to start watching it again. Coastal Idius. All right. Okay. Okay, Jacob Walton. All right, hold on. Let's see. Let's refresh this one more time. All right. The Save Me One. Who's running Hydra? Mitchell Carson or Grant Ward? I think it's Grant Ward. Yeah, Ward is the guy. Ward seems to be the guy in charge from everything that we've seen and heard, from all the information that's out there. You know, he's running Hydra, and that's that. Magpie's Nest Productions is from Australia, and she was down there for a con. Yeah, I heard about that. She did Australia Comic Con. She's tiny and nice. Yeah, she's really tiny, but she's so charming in interviews too. I love her. Will you be doing a Jessica Jones stream? I would talk about Jessica Jones at some point. I did one for Daredevil over the summer, and when Jessica Jones come out, when I have a free week, I will definitely talk about Jessica Jones. Yeah, I've seen the trailers. They look really good. It's kind of strange how they're keeping us from seeing her. They're kind of purposely avoiding showing her face, because it doesn't. It's not like Jessica Jones is like hideously deformed or got some weird disfiguring scars or something. She looks like a normal person. So I'm not sure what they're going for with those, but the tone looks right. I like what I've seen so far, and I will absolutely talk about Jessica Jones at some point. I'm looking forward to the show. Jacob Walton. I actually think Fitz will get sent to the planet where Simmons is at next week, due to the promo showing him on the planet. I think you may be right about that. I saw that too. There is a clip of Fitz being dragged across the ground, and the lighting and the color scheme do look the same as the one on the planet where she's on. And according to the episode synopsis in the press release, apparently the Shield learns something, and they start to think that maybe there's hope that they can find Simmons and that she's still alive, and they get help from Professor Randolph, the Asgardian played by Peter McNichol that they met in season 1, and an Asgardian. Asgardians know about the Kree. It's conceivable that he might know something about the monolith. So maybe they managed to open a portal and Fitz travels there briefly. I think Simmons is going to be there for a while. My guess is they may have, if some kind of very brief reunion, just enough to confirm to Fitz that she's alive before he gets sucked back to Earth. But yeah, they did make it look like in that promo that he could conceivably get to that alien planet, if only for a minute or two. So I'm not ruling it out. I think there could be a very brief reunion between them next week. But if nothing else, I think they will manage to confirm that she is in fact alive in that episode. But do not have Fitz and Simmons find each other on the planet till the mid-season finale. Yeah, the cynic in me thinks they might actually hold it off until then. I'd like to think they won't keep her on that planet that long. But I have to admit, it does sound like something these writers would do. Then they can reconcile for a couple of episodes and have them not only figure out how to get back home, but explore the Kree world and interact with other Marvel characters from Guardians of the Galaxy. Possibly. Probably not Chris Pratt. He's very busy these days. Maybe Simmons is discovered by the Kree guy from season 2. Like Vintek, yeah, another possibility. Although they did wipe his memory, remember? So if she did meet him, he wouldn't remember her unless the Kree restored his memory somehow. And Fitz meet another Kree or alien character to interact with. This way you explore a new world and 2 scientific people interact with in an alien world. Who knows? Maybe. Like I said, I do think there might be a brief reunion between Fitz and Simmons next week. But overall, I think Simmons is going to be on her own on that world for the majority of this arc. Because it does appear that the writers want to keep them from getting together for a while longer still. So they're going to be separated, I think, for a while. But yeah, I wouldn't put it past them to do something like this. You could be right about this stuff. Let's see. All right. Excuse me. Why don't comments show up here? That's weird. Okay. All right. Jacob Walton, I think Baron von Strucker will return, faking his death, and take over Hydra and knock Ward out of power, thus probably setting up another Ward-Coulson team-up to take down Hydra later. Oh, I don't know about that, dude. I think... no, I don't see Coulson trusting Ward at all anymore after what he did. And Ward... he's going to have a vendetta against S.H.I.E.L.D. after what happened to 33. Yeah, I don't see them working together again. I really don't. This way, the show can use a credible Marvel villain that can last through most of the season, since he is wasted in the Avengers. Yeah, he was wasted in Age of Ultron. I will agree with that. I think if you're looking for a villain from the comics, I think Lash is probably going to end up being that person. But we've only seen one episode. It's too early to tell. Coastal Lady. Wait, hold on. All right. Okay, well, that's all the S.H.I.E.L.D. questions. Now we'll get back to anything I missed. So now's your chance to ask me whatever the hell you want about anything. Let's see. Coastal Idius, any plans to watch the X-Files miniseries when Gotham goes to mid-season hiatus? Well, I'm not watching Gotham when it's on. Watching the X-Files miniseries? Oh, I don't know. Possibly. You know, I liked the X-Files during the original run. I watched all the way through to the end, but I got to be honest, the promos for this revival miniseries don't make me optimistic. Some things about this thing really pissed me off. Them teasing that the Cancer Man is still alive. How? They said they stated in the original show that he was dying of cancer. Years later, he's still alive. I don't know how many times they thought this guy was dead. In the series finale, they blew him up with fucking missiles from a helicopter or some shit. How could he possibly still be alive? Even the tease that he's still alive is ridiculous. Them constantly jerking us around like that. They're saying, I think I heard one rumor that the lone gunmen were going to be alive again. They died. They're dead. How could you? I think the biggest problem is that we're several years past the date when the alien colonization was supposed to happen. So what? We're just pretending that didn't. We're just pretending that's not a thing now. Yeah, I would think that this would be a revival miniseries would be a great way to get to the bottom of all that and was finally resolve that whole plot line. But apparently, the format for this, according to Chris Carter, is going to be more case of the week type stuff. I'm not interested in case of the week stuff anymore. I want to see you get to the bottom of the alien colonization. Do like a multi-episode arc resolving that whole thing. I'll watch that. But I don't know. I haven't decided yet about the X-Files, but I just don't have a good feeling about this project. Magpie's Nest Productions, have you heard anything about Iron Fist, the Netflix show? Not yet. I suspect they'll have some information about that relatively soon. Jessica Jones drops, I believe, next month. They're in the middle of filming Luke Cage now. Iron Fist comes next, so they're going to have to announce some things there. We don't know who the showrunner is or the writing staff, or no casting news yet, but that's going to have to come fairly soon. So I would suspect it's certainly before the year is out. We'll have some information about Iron Fist. Nothing yet though. All right. Okay. Going back to the bottom here. Let's see. Other questions. NJ. NJ is not enjoying Heroes Reborn. It's not exciting anymore like it used to be with the original show. I think most of the old cast should have been in on the first one or two episodes to write them off properly. That might have helped. Yeah, but like I said, I don't think where the producers are concerned, I don't think their hearts are in it. It feels more like a cash grab to me than something that they put any real effort into. And it feels kind of like a half-assed effort to me. So not enjoying it, yeah, I don't blame you, because the charm of the original show is just not there. All right, that gaming asshole. Claire is clearly not dead. The story is being set up in such a way that if she was dead, it would make no sense. And it's unlikely that they would pass on a possible cameo from her now that her actress is on Nashville, which is big, so probably she'll show up once a season like Brock Lesnar. I really hope she's dead. they made her out to be unkillable in the original show. I don't care. There are ways to do it. I think I said this last week. Just cut her head off. That'll kill anybody. There were ways to do it. A good writer could find a way to do it. I'm just saying. And Claire was really annoying, so I hope she's dead. NJ, the cast we have now, you're right. I don't have a favorite or someone who could be. I miss Siler the most. Yeah, this new show could use a Siler, couldn't it? The Japanese video game girl is a little much. I did not think that worked or seen as a proper ability you would picture someone with. I agree. What is... I don't even know what her power is. She can transport herself into a video game dimension or into a video game world. And when she comes out of it, she's somewhere else. But she can only access it when she unsheaths a sword. It's really confusing. I don't mind telling you, I'm lost on that one. That stuff is weird. As for the coin man, it seems that the man can choose what the coin does to his victim, as the guy he was with lost his memory. Maybe. That's a unique power, at least. I'll give it that, but again, it's like they're trying to get way too creative with these powers. I think the simpler the better. I mean, you can come up with new powers, just keep them simple. I mean, there's no need to overcomplicate this stuff. That's one of the problems they eventually had with the original show. Clash of Kings. Do you think they will make an X-Men franchise into a live-action TV show after X-Men Apocalypse is released? And who do you think could play the characters? I know Fox has been... there's been rumblings that Fox wanted to do an X-Men live-action show. I think technology-wise, it's doable. Maybe you wouldn't be able to have like huge like fight scenes with like the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants or the Four Horsemen or something every week, but I think they could do it. If they kept it within reason. Who could play the characters? Oh God, who knows? Talented unknowns. I mean, if you want to get name actors, that's going to cost money. I mean, generally, I like the cast they've had in the movies. If we're recasting it and rebooting the universe, who knows? Let's see. Okay. I did that. Clash of Kings. Who do you think would win a superhero fight? Batman versus Superman versus Iron Man versus Wonder Woman versus Flash versus Spider-Man versus Thor? Probably Superman, because he's Superman. I think Batman's wily enough that he'd be able to survive for a while, but ultimately the others have too much raw power. I think Iron Man would eventually be taken out. Just I mean that Iron Man armor is going to get beaten to shit and stop working eventually. Wonder Woman's a goddess, so you got to figure, her power is going to outlast an iron suit. Flash, well, if it's the Barry Allen version, he's got enough raw power where you'd think he'd be able to stay in it, but the Barry Allen version from the TV is kind of TV show is kind of an idiot. So he could be outsmarted and defeated kind of easily. Spider-Man and Thor, I think, could stay in there for a while. Thor probably longer. If I had to guess, I think it would come down to Thor versus Superman, ultimately with Superman winning because he's Superman. Let's see. That Gaming Asshole. I like the new Fantastic Four movie well enough myself. I actually appreciate how they decided to make their transformation seem painful and bizarre instead of just hit by hit by cosmic rays. You know, I do think that movie got a lot of some shit it didn't deserve. Personally, I thought the first 2/3 of it were pretty good, uh, though it did completely fall apart in the third act. But I liked the new take on it personally, although I'm not a fan of the Fantastic Four comics. I'm not overly attached to those characters, so them making changes to it really didn't bother me. I can see how it would offend the purists, though. I did see there were a lot of similarities. It was borrowing heavily from Mark Millar's run on Ultimate Fantastic Four. Not surprising, since I believe he's a consultant for Fox with these comic book projects now. And I like the Ultimate Fantastic Four before they got all weird. You know, those first couple arcs by Bendis, Millar, and I think Warren Ellis, those were enjoyable. I like those a lot. But yeah, I think I said this on Twitter. The components of a good movie were there. They just didn't come together well, ultimately. And it definitely felt like a movie that got chopped all to pieces in the editing room by the studio. It really felt to me like a movie that was there's probably a better version of that out there somewhere, but it just got completely chopped all to hell by the studio. This reeked of a movie that was ruined by studio interference. It really did. But yeah, some of the concepts they had, like using body horror and stuff, and like making their transformations more really like darker and more serious instead of just off the wall goofy and silly like in the Tim Story movies, which I hated. I like that approach, but again, I'm not a purist when it comes to the Fantastic Four. But I don't know. I think all the comic movies should look like Youngblood and have the atmosphere of Dark Knight, so my tastes are eclectic. Really, they should all look like Youngblood, huh? Well, we should put you in the same room as Linkara just to see what would happen. I'd love to see that. Coastal Edius, thoughts on Matt Ryan joining Arrow this season? I like the idea. I heard he was going to show up on Arrow in like the 5th episode or something, and he's going to be he's going to help them with using the Lazarus Pit to restore Sarah to life, supposedly. I like the idea that Constantine knows stuff about the Lazarus Pit that Oliver doesn't, and even the League of Assassins doesn't. That sounds right. Yeah, this is good. Like the big grand poobah when it comes to the mystic arts in the DC universe, or at least in this continuity. It makes sense that John Constantine would know stuff like that. I like that approach. And I did really like Matt Ryan as Constantine, even though the show could have been better. So him reprising the role on Arrow, I'm looking forward to it. Although, I mean, using the Lazarus Pit on Sarah at this point, when she's been dead for over a year, that's stretching it. I know it's magic and whatever, but I mean, there's not going to be much left of her at this point. What is there to restore? I mean, all the flesh will have rotted off her bones for the most part by now. We'll see. Coastal Edius, what can we expect of Wally West and Jay Garrick in this season on The Flash? I don't know. Uh, I really don't know. I haven't heard much about that at all. I know they'll be teaming up early on in the season. I guess Jay Garrick will be from another universe or parallel world or something like that because they're going to get into that stuff this season. I'm trying to go in with no expectations at all. Um, After the season one finale just pissed me off so much. And and again, I don't really read the Flash comics in the first place, so I have no expectations about this team up. I think it's interesting that they're doing it. Beyond that, I really can't say. Sure. Magpie's Nest Productions. Would you like to see Daredevil on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Oh, hell yeah! Um, if they could get the production schedules to line up so Charlie Cox could come over and do it, fuck yeah, do that. That'd be awesome. Now, supposedly, Marvel is being really weird about this. Like, they want all the Netflix shows to be kind of self-contained, and the TV universe to be self-contained, and the movies to be to. I don't know how that works, but they seem to want the Netflix series to be kind of their own thing. I think they said this how they don't want to do crossovers too much, although they might be a little more flexible on that because I heard there were some hints that Coulson might show up on Iron Fist since that's Clark Gregg's favorite character and he really wants it to happen. So we'll see. There could be some crossovers. There seems to be some resistance about that on Marvel's side, though. But if they could make it work, I don't see why you wouldn't want to do it. I mean, the fans would love that. I'd love to see that. You could do it easy. Fucking a new Inhuman develops powers in Hell's Kitchen, gets himself arrested before S.H.I.E.L.D. could show up, and S.H.I.E.L.D. try to extract him, but wouldn't you know it, his attorney got there first. There's Matt Murdock. Boom, there's your crossover right there. It writes itself, you know? They could do it easily. I would love to see them do it. Maybe someday. Maybe someday. Jacob Walton, see my Bob Agent of Hydra theory below in case you missed it. I think you'll get a kick out of Bob Agent of Hydra. It's below somewhere. All right. Okay. Well, we'll see. Okay. The Save Me one. Do you think we're going to see Hope Van Dyne turn heel and become the Red Queen? I would suspect not. If anything, I think she'll become the Wasp. We know that Janet is alive, but is still in the quantum realm. Well, we don't know if she's alive. There's speculation that she's alive. I don't see how she could be. Even if she didn't die, I mean, it's been, what, over 10 years since she disappeared? What has she been eating? She'd be dead from... She would have been dead from starvation or dehydration pretty quickly. I mean, how could she still be alive realistically? I don't know. In the quantum realm, and if she can be saved, she will still be in her 30s or 40s. If this is the case, why give Hope the Wasp suit? Well, if Janet is still alive, she would have missed out on decades of her life. Her husband is now an old man. That would be kind of the kind of thing that would kind of turn me off of superheroics if it were me. I could see her being, yeah, Hope, you want to be the Wasp now? Go for it. I'm done. I'm hanging up the suit. Plus, when Hope is looking at the suit, she looked kind of villainous with that smirk on her face and the suit showing in her eyes like mirrors. Probably Janet returns and her mother has to defeat the daughter at some point. I don't think so, dude. I think more likely they're going to have Hope be the stand-in for Janet. Anything's possible, I suppose. I really don't think so. I think they're just going to have Hope become the Wasp, and that'll be the end of it. Magpie's Nest Productions. What would be the next character you would like to see in a Netflix show? For me, it would be the Phantom. I know he's not Marvel. Well, I figure next in line is going to be the Punisher. We know he's going to feature heavily into Daredevil season 2, and I think the Punisher character is perfect for the Netflix platform. So you figure he'd be an ideal candidate. I think another one would be Moon Knight. That might require a little bit of a higher budget, but I think it's doable for Netflix. It will probably be a better fit for Netflix than in a movie where you'd get all the Batman comparisons. So yeah, those would be two big ones. Punisher, Moon Knight. There's probably other ones I'm not thinking of. Costaledius, I wouldn't be surprised if Velvet Sky is a rat that made it in the business just like Missy Hyatt. Okay. Did you see those pictures that Bubba Ray Dudley posted on his Twitter page of Velvet Sky and Dudley gear? Be interesting to see if Dixie Carter has any kind of a reaction to that, seeing as how you've got one of your knockouts modeling gear worn by a WWE star now. It'd be interesting to see if she gets in trouble for that. NJ, I don't think chopping Claire's head off would work. You saw within the original Heroes, she managed to grow off her chopped toe back. Okay. Well, I remember that, but chopping off your little toe is like chopping off a vestigial tail. It's not, there's nothing really vital in that body part. You could lose that and not really be hurt at all. It's not like losing an organ, that stuff is not vital to your quality of life. Whereas, if you lop off your melon, your brain is kind of essential. That stuff's hard to grow back. That stuff's hard to grow back. If you're suggesting that Claire would grow a second head, or if the body would grow a new head and the head would grow a new body, and then we have two Claires, like when you chop an earthworm in half. I don't think so. I really don't think so, dude. Jacob Walton, last question. Your thoughts on the Dub Smash Wars, and who do you think will win? Who do you want to win? Also, thoughts on each video. Well, my initial thoughts on the Dub Smash Wars is why, at least in round 1, why are they using the most irritating songs on Earth? Team Carter's first video, All the Single Ladies. I hate that song. Hate it. Oh, God. And Team Shield's first song, Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus. Why? I watched these videos, I fucking mute the sound. I fucking hate those songs, dude. The second round 2 was more interesting. Songs were fine. Poor James Darcy had to say goodbye to his dignity in that second one, though. It seemed like Team Carter was really going below the belt. They had Stan Lee and Haley sitting in Lola. And there's James Darcy in the shorts waxing Lola. That was funny. But I think Shield topped them both times. Their first video definitely had more effort put into it, even though Team Carter's video had a guest appearance from Miss Piggy, which was cool. Team Shield's video definitely looked harder to film. Definitely more effort in that one. Also, I think overall it was more creative in the second round. They had Melissa Benoist guest starring as Supergirl, and they had Deadpool and Batman in there too. To a dub smash of "Why Can't We Be Friends?" That's that's great. See, overall, I think Team Shield's videos have been more enjoyable, and they've they've been in the lead as far as donations are concerned for most of the competition. So I suspect they'll win, and I want them to win because Haley is being weirdly competitive in this whole thing, almost to the point where she's acting like kind of an asshole at times. The thing with getting Chris Evans in there and tearing up the thing just because she knows that Coulson is a big fan of Captain America, that's hitting below the belt. Why would you do that? And then going after Lola too. This is for charity. Why is Team Carter being such hyper competitive freaks about this? I know it's all in good fun, but I want Team Shield to win. Now, plus I like their charity better. The St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. I like that. And not that Stomp Out Bullying is a bad charity. That's important too. But I think Team Shield chose the more worthwhile charity. I think they're. I prefer it if they win, and I want them to win because I want Haley to get humbled a little bit. It seems like she's kind of full of herself with this dub smash thing. Let's see, that gaming asshole. Next week on Heroes, we'll be introduced to an Evo who could fire his skeleton out like a bullet to shatter pieces of the Northern Lights to create mirrors that make duplicates of other people to fight them. What? I think I missed that in the promo. Because why the fuck not? Oh yeah. Because why the fuck not? We already have Knives Chow with literal video game powers and a guy who uses pennies to steal people's memories, so why not? So you're suggesting that they go completely balls to the wall and make the powers as bizarre as they possibly can? I got to admit that probably would be more interesting than what they're doing now, just for the sheer spectacle of it. NJ, what happened to the rest of Noah's family in Heroes Reborn? He only spoke about Claire, but he has more family than that, right? Dude, I was wondering where they were too. Yeah, we saw that hospital footage of him with Claire's corpse. It's like Claire had a mother and a brother, but fuck them, right? Okay, Okay, maybe you couldn't get the actors back. Okay, but they don't get a mention. They were a big part of HRG's character too, but they're just not there. They don't exist. That omission was strange. NJ, is Mohinder Suresh coming back as an on-screen character? I believe so. He was in the promos. We know he's going to make at least one appearance. I hope Noah has to go back looking for some of the old cast to help him do something within Heroes Reborn. Well, we know from the promos that him and Matt Parkman will come face-to-face at some point. So that's something. It would be nice and possibly give Heroes fans some excitement if this one does not get better. I agree. Some more appearances from the original cast certainly couldn't hurt. Like I said, this new cast is just not scratching me where I itch. Just seemed kind of bland by comparison to the originals. TKO Rising. AFK, it's been a while, man. I wanted to get your thoughts on Kevin Feige saying that Civil War being the last movie in the Captain America franchise. Wait, what? What? Kevin Feige saying that Civil War being the last movie of the Captain America franchise. Plus the new Avengers team in Infinity War and Phase 4. By the way, I know this is a comic book podcast show, but what are your thoughts on Raw having the lowest rating this past Monday? All right. Okay, well, Civil War will be the third Captain America solo movie. So Chris Evans would be coming to the end of his contract. If they want more appearances from Captain America, I suspect they want to save those for the Avengers films, unless they negotiate for more appearances from him, which is not out of the question. But if they've only got a few appearances with Chris Evans left, I suspect they want to save those for the Avengers. So I understand that. Apparently, from what I hear, Sebastian Stan signed up for a lot of movies as Bucky. So if there's a passing of the shield, they may, if Chris Evans doesn't want to return after a certain point, there may be, passing of the shield there. Have Bucky become Captain America, or Sam, because Falcon has been Captain America too in the comics. So one of those guys could become Captain America at some point. That would kind of suck if they lost Chris Evans, though, because especially since the last Captain America movie was so good. And Winter Soldier was great. And I'm not even big on action movies anymore, but that was a really fucking good sequel. Let's see. Plus the new Avengers team in Infinity War and in Phase 4. I like it. I do wish Quicksilver was in there, but I understand why they had to make him a one and done, because there was a lot of gray area there with the Quicksilver character also being in the X-Men movies. I believe they had to make some kind of a deal with Fox to be able to use that one. So I wish he could still be there, but I understand why he's not. I like the new team. Vision was one of the best parts of Age of Ultron. Scarlet Witch, cool. Falcon and War Machine, all fine characters. I'm happy with the new team. What I think is going to happen is it'll focus on the new team primarily in Infinity War Part 1, and then they'll get crushed by Thanos, necessitating the reformation of the original Avengers, and then both teams will kind of come together in Part 2, and it'll be this big, massive blowout then. And I'm excited for it. I am. What are your thoughts on Raw having the lowest ratings this past Monday? Well, I haven't seen the ratings. But yeah, the way I heard, Raw has been getting killed by football, which does not surprise me. I thought Raw last Monday overall was a pretty boring show. I actually dozed off during the main event, which happens on a semi-regular basis these days, I'm sorry to say, for Raw. It just wasn't an interesting show. They didn't do anything to pop the rating. And if you got a big football game going on in the other channel, there's not much of an incentive to watch Raw. For people who are interested in both. What rating did Raw get? I'm curious. I didn't look. But yeah, I mean they always get hit by football every year, but from what I hear, they're taking a bigger hit than they normally do. And I'm not surprised. Save me one. If they were going to cross over with the Netflix shows, it would happen after The Defenders. Hell's Kitchen is not on the Shield radar right now. After all hell breaks loose in the Defenders miniseries, maybe then. I forget where I heard this, but I think there was someone suggested to Marvel that Coulson be the one who assembles the Defenders, which I have to admit would be pretty fucking cool. Because he's kind of the new Nick Fury now. Because to give him his own team of superheroes to assemble, that would be really fun. I don't think it'll happen, but it would be cool. Um, but yeah, I mean, if there's going to be a gathering of the Defenders after all the solo series happen, if they cause enough hell, raise enough hell, cause enough commotion, it could attract the attention of Shield. NJ, I got the Batman Hush comic comic 1 and 2. Have you read them? I skimmed through them. I'm also thinking of getting The Killing Joke, which is said to be the Tim Burton's favorite Batman comic. Have you read that one? I have read The Killing Joke. It's a great comic, really great. Yeah, Alan Moore, that's one of the classic Batman stories. It really is. I kind of skimmed through Hush, read parts of it, but Killing Joke, you can't really go wrong with that. Let's see. Costeladius, I think the Netflix Marvel series will culminate into the Defenders. Yeah, that's the plan. Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, then Defenders miniseries. I think that's been the plan from the start. Let's see. All right. That gaming asshole. I fucking hated Hope and Ant-Man, almost as annoyingly cloying and transparent as Jane Foster from Thor. The sooner that both of them are written out of their actors getting uppity and leave the films, the better. Janet would still be alive in the other universe. Still, it's explicitly stated that time and space have no meaning there. All right, whatever. I thought Hope was fine. I don't, I didn't have a problem with her. I feel kind of ambivalent with Jane Foster. I don't dislike her. Man, I like Natalie Portman fine as an actress, but when Jane Foster's on the screen, usually I'm just kind of counting the minutes until Sif shows up. I got no problem with Jane. I just like Sif much more. Let's see. Jacob Walton, I think that AOS will bring in Bob, Agent of Hydra, and he should be one of the Patton Oswalt life model decoys that's a Hydra sleeper. Because Patton Oswalt is playing a Hydra agent and working with Ward would be both badass and hilarious. And Bob is awesome even though he's a Deadpool guy. So one of the Koenig LMDs is a Hydra mole, huh? That would be quite a twist, wouldn't it? Would be interesting to see Patton Oswalt playing a bad guy. The Save Me One, Blade and Firestar would make good Netflix shows. Oh, Blade, that's a good one. I hadn't thought about Blade. I think Marvel got the rights back to him, actually. Wesley Snipes is saying that another Blade movie might happen. Why? The third one was so bad. Blade Trinity, oh god. That was a franchise killer right there. Just forget it. Just reboot it as a Netflix show and just do that. Firestar? I never really saw her as a solo hero. I know she had a miniseries when they first introduced the character in, I think, the 1980s. But no, she's always been part of a team. She was in the New Warriors. She was in the Avengers for a bit. I think she's in the X-Men now. As a solo hero, no, I don't think so. Plus, I think replicating her powers on a regular basis would probably be too expensive for a Netflix budget. I think you'd want that in a movie, I think. I'm still waiting for a New Warriors movie. But again, I'm not holding my breath on that one. Magpie's Nest Productions. Thoughts on the Purple Man not being purple according to the photo? Oh yeah, David Tennant. Not being purple. Well, just because he's not purple in the photo doesn't mean he won't be. Um, I mean, if Zebediah Kilgrave wants to go out in public, he can't do it being purple. I mean, a little, some makeup would take care of that. I mean, there are ways to make him look normal. Just slap a bunch of makeup on his face. You can make him look like a normal person. Then, when he gets home, wash all that stuff off. Hey, there's the Purple Man right there. I mean, there are ways. I mean, until we see, we haven't really seen any publicity photos for him yet. So, I mean, who knows? We don't really know yet. I see no reason to suspect that he won't be purple, though. Magpie's Nest Productions, did you see Unfriended? If you did, what would you like to see in a second film? I did not see Unfriended. Was that the movie where the whole thing takes place on like an online chat where these people are like in a like in one big Skype chat, and the whole movie is like them just talking to each other while they're getting killed off one by one? Is that the movie you're talking about? I don't know. I didn't see it. Coastaladius, thoughts on Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange? I'm happy. He was my first choice. When I heard about Doctor Strange, I was like, oh, Benedict Cumberbatch would be fucking perfect. So when they cast him, I was thrilled. I can't imagine anyone better for the part. So that sounded perfect to me. NJ, George Miller says he won't be directing Man of Steel 2. Yeah, George Miller, wasn't he? George Miller, wasn't he the director of Mad Max Fury Road? Okay. He wouldn't have been my choice to direct the Man of Steel 2 anyway. A lot of people were raving about Mad Max Fury Road. I didn't really understand the hype, personally. Wouldn't have been my choice for director. I guess Zack Snyder's not doing it. Maybe he's focusing on making the Justice League movie. George Miller's not doing it. Okay, fine. There are other people out there, other directors out there that are probably better suited for it. Just saying. I won't lose sleep over that. Let's see. TK Rising. Raw drew 3.32 million viewers. Wow. What kind of rating did that translate to? I don't know what rating that translates to, but that's low for Raw. Oh wow, man, they're in the low threes now. Wow, when's the last time they got a rating like that for a non-holiday Raw? That's rough. Vince has got to be shitting himself. Zach Harris, not sure if you're aware of it or not, but there's a YouTube channel called Gaming Wildlife. They primarily cover video game related topics, but they sometimes cover other things as well. They have a series called 100% Honest, with the concept being what companies would tell us if they were 100% honest with us. They did one with Vince McMahon for if WWE were 100% honest with us, and it's pretty funny. Interesting. I might check that out. Okay. I think that's everything. I'm just going to check this one last time. see. Okay, let's refresh this. And all right, I think that's everything. It's about midnight, so I think that's a good place to stop for tonight. And hey, season 2 has begun of the Comic Show Post Show, so yay! Really fun getting back in the saddle here tonight. I really I miss talking with all you guys, and I believe next week the Flash is back. I'd be very interested to see if they can redeem themselves after after what they did with the season 1 finale, which everyone seemed to love but me. Again, I absolutely hated that finale. So, we'll see. Maybe they can redeem themselves for that. Who knows? I guess we'll find out then. So next week we've got Shield and I guess the Flash. You can ask me about Heroes Reborn. I don't think I'll be reviewing that. I don't think I'll be reviewing that because it just doesn't. I don't find the show very interesting. So until then, same time next week, Thursdays at 10 p.m. And I will see you on Wednesday for the Impact stream. Until then, over, out. Be seeing you.